Radio, your preferred Wholesome Radio. 89.3, they carry me go. I just follow, they carry me go. So this party on the microphone,
It's Wells Radio 89.3 FM. Magic.
Yo, what's up?
Baby, let's go!
Hey there! Want to stay connected to your favorite radio station? Follow us on social media for the latest updates, entertaining wholesome content, and behind-the-scene peaks. We're on Instagram at Wells Radio 893, Facebook Wells Radio 893 FM fan page, X Wells Radio 893. Follow our WhatsApp channel Wells Radio 89.3 FM. Get a scoop on upcoming shows, giveaways, and events. Also get to interact with your favorite presenters and share your thoughts on our posts and stories. Join the conversation and stay tuned into Wells Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio.
The time is 3 p.m. from Wells Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio.
Gẹ́rẹ́gẹ́ láago mẹ́ta ọ̀sán lù láti ìkànnì kànga agbọ́nmágbẹ̀ 89.3 FM.
True nation building begins with character, integrity, responsibility, purpose. That's the vision of Nurture Nest on Character Matters for Nation Building. Hosted by Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe, Sundays 3 to 4 p.m. on Wells Radio 89.3 FM, Ibadan. Character Matters, building values, shaping lives.
happy Sunday. Amazing people, great people, wonderful people. You're welcome back to The Nest. They call it the green card, the golden visa, or simply the way out. For many, it starts as a dream, a legitimate desire for a greener pasture, a better life, some would say, a fresh start to some others. But in the shadows of that dream, a predator is waiting. Today, we are performing an audit of desperation. We're looking at the architecture of exploitation that turns our sons and daughters into commodities. We're talking about the dangers of trafficking in persons and illegal migration. Today, we're glad to be back. We're glad and grateful to God Almighty for life, for strength. We're grateful to Him for enablement. We're grateful to Him also for all of you, our amazing listeners. Thank you for being part of the show. I'm your regular host, Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe. Welcome you back today. It's still Wells Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred awesome radio. And today, I'm not doing this alone as usual. It's something that calls for some deep introspection, I must say. And we're asking ourselves, why are we trading our sanctity for shortcut? Why are we trading our well-being, peace of mind, for that which becomes somewhat a cycle of trauma? Some have to live the rest of their lives with the trauma of that which they experience in the B2 Japa, like we say. Today, we bring the shield and the bridge into the studio. We have the law, and we also have someone who is a member of the Reintegration Committee. I will be doing proper introduction of my guests for today. I have Mrs. Rita Onisheiton Olajide Kayode. She's the CEO of Kasia Consult and a member of the Oyo State Reintegration Committee. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being. And of course, I mentioned that we also have the law here. We have Mr. Kayode A. Alfred. He's the State Commander, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, or your State Command here in Ibadan. You're very much welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, listeners at home.
Wow. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, the Nurture Nest. A lot of times I get asked that question. Oh, character matters. What has this got to do with counseling? And I say to people that in the nest, a lot of the issues that we deal with, you find their roots in some kind of character deficit, character flaws. And we're saying to ourselves that there's some of these issues that we need to begin to tackle headlong, speak to ourselves, looking at the anatomy of the trap. I want to start with Mr. Alfred this afternoon. The anatomy of the trap. Traffickers often, they don't look like villains, They look like saviors, helpers of destiny, helpers of joy, like they call them. But how can the average Nigerian distinguish between a legitimate opportunity and the architecture of exploitation before it's too late? So when you say, sometimes they are blowing grammar, what is really trafficking in persons as we link it to how the average Nigerian can understand and distinguish between this legitimate opportunity and an architecture of exploitation? Over to you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. So I will briefly define human trafficking so that listeners at home would understand what is meant by human trafficking.
Absolutely.
if I should go by the standard definition according to the United Nations, I don't think we will live here today. But I'm just going to simplify it.
Yes,
So
yes. That the common person on the street can
I
relate
define human trafficking as the recruitment or procurement of a person through the means of force, coercion, deception, fraud, debt bondage, threat, intimidation, of abuse of power, or position of vulnerability for the purpose of exploitation, of which recruitment, procurement are what we call the act of human trafficking. Human trafficking is a function of three elements. We have the first one is the act. The second one is the means.
The
Then
act,
the means.
the means,
And the purpose.
and the purpose.
So when we say the act, it means what are the activities
Activities.
that have been carried out in the course of this human trafficking. And they include, but not limited to, recruitment or procurement of persons,
Of persons.
transportation, transferring, harboring, sale, purchase, or receipt of a person.
Of a person. I
Yes.
mean, all those terminologies you're using as though we're talking about,
Buying
know,
and selling.
buying and
Yes.
selling
Trade
by
commodities,
barter.
Yes. So I've talked about the act. Remember I said these three elements
The three elements.
constitute what human trafficking is.
Trafficking
Now
is
let me
all
talk about the means.
The means.
The means is, it simply means how was it carried out?
Carried out. How it's been carried out. yeah.
Yes. Now, I mean the activities.
The activity,
You
yes.
understand? So what and what were used? We have deception.
Deception.
That is to deceive somebody.
And
It's
that's why
usually
we
the most
say,
common.
yes, that the trafficker will
Yes.
look like a savior.
A savior. Now we have deception. It's usually the most common means. Then we have force. We have coercion. We have what we call fraud. We have what we call debt bondage. We have threat. We have intimidation. We have abuse of power and of position of vulnerability.
Vulnerability. Would you want to break down maybe two of those?
Which one do you want? I can. I see.
Any
if I'm
two
talking
that
about
we-
human trafficking,
I know it's you are
See,
fishing water when you come
any radio station I go, before I would know it, they will say, "Let's round up." I will ask,
Yes,
have
at
we
the
spent
time.
up to
So,
5 minutes? You understand? Because I'm so passionate about
About
this.
it,
You
I
understand?
mean,
And it's so wide. With my experience of over 20 years in the field, especially as an investigator in that aspect, you understand? Also a facilitator. So I've seen practical things. And I've also worked in the core northern part of the country, in Sokoto Zonal Command of our.
So how will the average person
All right.
distinguish
Let me
between,
just,
you know,
yes,
those two?
before let me just finish I said act means and purpose.
Yes, and
the
the
purpose
purpose.
simply is exploitation. And exploitation comes in diverse form.
Yes.
Sexual exploitation, labor exploitation, procurement of person for organ harvesting,
Organ harvesting.
slave dealing. You understand? The forceful recruitment of person for use in armed conflicts. Please, before we round up this show, because that is what is trending now. Because I can tell you that some of our youths have been trafficked to Russia, forcefully conscripted to join the Russian army to fight against Ukraine.
You're
I'll still come
hearing
about that.
this directly from
Yes, because
the
on my
mouth
table in the
of-
office right
yes,
now,
the-
I
you
have
know,
two letters of complaint.
From families.
Yes, here in Ibadan.
Wow.
Yes, this is authoritative.
So these are not insinuations. Like
Yes.
you're speaking
I'm just
authoritatively.
talking based on
yes,
the practical,
facts
yes,
on ground.
It's even evidence. No longer fact is unverified evidence. You understand? But this what I can say. Yes, you understand. So I talked about the exploitation, which could be sexual,
Yeah.
which could be forced labor. You understand? Then we have the child labor and employment of a child. Yeah, that's also. Then we also have the buying or selling of children. The baby factory thing is also part of it. We have the child pornography thing, procurement of a person under 18 years for performance of pornographic content. Could you believe that? Not quite
Serious
last
matters
year,
here.
2 brothers from this Oyo state were arrested and extradited to the US because in the confines of their home, they were recruiting minors and creating content, you understand, for pornography. They were recruiting minors for pornography, and they recruited some Americans. And those ones, one of them committed suicide. That was the genesis of it.
I remember the case.
So many things are happening.
That are happening.
Yes. And I also talk about the Shagala thing, because this Oyo State is becoming unbecoming. You see married women, young women, they're so desperate to go to the Middle East, to go and do house help. In my phone right now, I can count the number of voice notes from strangers, all the way from Oman, Qatar, all the way from Jordan, from Iraq, from Lebanon.
This is worrisome.
And they are helpless, because if you are we don't know the house, we don't know the office. You know, so as I talk to you right now, if it's a woman in Cairo, the organ just got harvested. Now, how did it? Who is the person? I don't know. No. It was just through phone calls. If you try to track they've already broken the distance, because they know that the bubble has burst.
And they move them away
from
that
yes.
location to
some other location.
Yes. They don't even know where they are. So it's so pathetic. So I think I've been able to.
Yes, I mean.
So simply put, let me just define human trafficking. Let me simplify it further. One sentence. Human trafficking simply is the recruitment of a person through the means of force or deception for the purpose of exploitation.
Recruitment of a person.
Yes.
Through the means of force or deception.
Yes.
For the purpose of exploitation.
Which will come in diverse forms.
Different forms of exploitation.
It comes in different ways. This is really worrisome. It's really, really concerning. And you hear a lot of people say, they want to help us. They want to help us. And that's why we're here today. If you're listening to us, this is not a blame game. This is not to condemn anybody. But we know that these things are happening. I've been involved in family tracing exercise, where, one of those who got trafficked, just like, calls are being put through to you, you had that also. The call was received. She gave the details of the parent's number. And, you talked about falsehood and deception.
Yes.
You're suffering here. You need to break this cycle of poverty in your lineage. Let your child just travel to, there's greener pasture somewhere. So really, I want to come to you,
okay.
Mrs. Olajide Kayode. If we're looking at it, so can we talk about the red flags? What are the non-negotiable red flags that every listener should look out for when somebody offers them a fast-track visa, high-paying job in Europe or the Middle East? What are those red flags?
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Because we just had a case of recent of a young girl. Yes, both parents are not together. So they told her, don't worry. You want to save your daddy. Your daddy is sick. You want him to get well. Your siblings are not in school. Don't worry. There's a high-paying job.
Sentiments, emotions.
So they play on their emotions. And after they see that, we already won her over to us, they tell them, okay, so we have to travel at night. Make sure you don't tell
anybody. So there's the element of secrecy.
They don't allow them to share the information with other people. And they travel as fast as possible before people detect that they are already talking to them. Before their neighbors start raising eyebrow, who is that person talking to you? Before they know it, they have gone. They tell them to travel light. They don't have to plan. If you want to travel, you have to plan, have an appointment, go to the embassy. They will sign your visa if they grant it, and it will take a while before you get your visa back. All of those don't happen. So you travel light, you don't inform family members or friends, or they tell you people you can inform. A very few people that you can talk about, that you can talk to about the trip, those that cannot change your mind, who also share this similar sentiments with you, who also looking for quote and unquote such kind of opportunities. Exactly. So that you can also bring them in. Because this particular girl was invited by a friend who was told that, see, you can go to Libya and make money. How much was your daddy making before? You can make as much as 500,000 naira in a month without any certification. So that's another red flag. You, a secondary school girl, or you that have no certification, you'll be told that, so don't worry, you work in a very big company.
So any wafa and woeful kind of thing. That,
so you work in a very big company without any certification, without any guarantor, without writing an application letter, without even discussing the job, without an interview. And they also don't let you know how you'll travel. In fact, they tell you, don't worry, you don't have to go through the plane. You don't have to go by air. You can go by the sea, through the desert. We're not saying the means of transportation. We're not talking about the means of, but how? How are they going to do it? So you don't have to pack your bags. You don't worry, you don't need anything. Let's just go.
So there's some element of urgency, element of secrecy,
urgency, and deception.
Of course, that's been stated. You want to add one or 2 points to that?
I want to add like 3 or 4.
Okay.
All right. You see, when you want to travel, if you ask all these cases I'm talking about, if you ask them, where is the residential or office address of this person, they will tell you, we don't know. Somebody just gave me the number, I started calling.
The referral.
You understand? Then the next thing they say, I shouldn't worry, go and meet this person at immigration office. They'll be the ones to pay because they want it. That's what we call debt bondage. You understand?
Yeah.
That's what, to enslave them.
Yes, I think
to make them work.
I think you should give clarity to.
Yes, I will talk about debt bondage. So it usually comes with debt bondage. I talked about Shagala. Shagala is Arabic word for house help.
House help, yeah.
Yes, in the southwestern part of Nigeria. I've worked in the core north. I spent 7 years in Sokoto Zonal Command, comprising Sokoto State, Kebbi, and Zamfara. I worked in the southeast, Ile-Igbo, for 10 years. I worked in Abuja, everything not less than 21 years. So I know the experience. Now in the southwest, because for each geopolitical zone, you understand, in the country. Yes. For instance, if I see any human trafficking case, they say this and that. If they say baby factory,
you already know where to
go. Southeast.
Where to call.
If they say some women and girls were intercepted at the airport, going to the Middle East, I know it's southwest. I know that of the northeast. I mean the north, the core north. You understand? So based on statistics, based on experience. So now, when we talk about, I talked about all these invisible persons wanting to help. It's because these people are criminals. Just last week, I had a discussion with the vice president of the National Association of Nigerian Travel Agents in NANTA, because we were planning something. Let me say this. NAPTIP has powers to regulate, to control the activities of organizations and centers that are into travel agency, tour operations.
Okay.
You understand?
So
organizations that facilitate
travels
for educational excursions, musical or cultural competitions abroad, sporting activities, beauty pageantry, or persons that operate homes or shelters. That offer rehabilitation service to persons. Because some shelter owners are human traffickers. They just use that as a decoy, as a smoke screen. They sell children. We have seen it. It's very rampant, not here in the southwest. But in some states that I've worked, we sealed so many shelters. Some members of household in such states, some of them are criminals. They just use that as, you understand. So what I'm saying is that when people tell you, they speak with you on the phone and they're wanting to help you travel, but they are being evasive. You can't see them physically. No, it's a red flag. Because they know that what they are doing is not right. They just want to get you exploited. Okay, now look at this case. The case I was just talking about, the young 24-year-old guy from this Ibadan that was deceived that he would go to Russia to go and work in a security company, only for him to get to Russia. They just gave him maybe like 1 week training, how to carry gun. You understand? And the next thing, they said, they pushed him to go and start wearing the army uniform. And he went and joined the Russian troops to fight Ukraine. You understand? The sister came to report this case. And he said, for the past 9 months, I've been communicating with my brother. But right now, his number on WhatsApp is not going through. Wow. And I could remember 2 months ago, I read in the Punch newspaper, a Nigerian that came out. He said he was in Ukraine, that he was deceived from Lagos to go and work in Russia But when it got to Russia, that's why I say forceful. It contravenes Section 26 of the NAPTIP Act. You understand? You go and force somebody to join the army for use in conflict. Now he said there were 54 Nigerians forcefully recruited, and 5 of them had been killed as at that 2 months ago.
Wow.
Yes, please, can you Google it? It's in the Punch newspaper everywhere. Yes.
Wow.
When somebody is being evasive, really he doesn't want to see you, go to this place. Okay, I will send you some money. Go and make your international passport. We get you your visa. Then another red flag is, please, people should stop going to countries with electronic visa. If you want to travel and you go to the embassy of a country, those people will interview you, and they will ask you questions. Yes. They will know whether your motive for going there is genuine.
It's genuine.
But this electronic visa, they obtain it online. All these Gulf nations, Arab countries, their visas are electronic. You don't need to go to any embassy or anywhere. All this Oman, all this whatever.
Actually, that's when the world is going.
You understand? So electronic visa doesn't entail facing the embassy, where they will interview you and know whether what you are going there to do is genuine. Is it? Do you want to go on school? Do you want to go and work? And I'm saying this now that, do you know that if it's in the news, you can Google it. Every now and then, NAPTIP intercept women and young women. In fact,
so what are we doing? Yes, we've talked about intercepting men and women.
That's if you don't have the clearance certificate.
Okay, so I want to take you back a bit. You talked about the fact that NAPTIP regulates bodies and agencies.
Yes.
Who are into travel.
Yes, and any travel agency that is packaging travel for any Nigerians for work abroad.
Yes.
The intending traveler. That's according to the NAPTIP mandate. That's regulations 2019. And the travel agency, you must come to NAPTIP for clearance, because we are going to scrutinize. Do everything.
Has any of the agencies been napped before that you?
So many people, because when we get these people intercepted, you want to travel, where's your clearance certificate from NAPTIP? NAPTIP work in collaboration with the authorities at the airport. You see us there. We turn people down. Let me tell you this. Just a few weeks ago, a woman came to meet me in the office. He said, I've come to collect my international passport. I said, I can't remember ever meeting you. He said, your office in Abuja. I said, what happened? He said, myself and my friend, we were going to Cairo. I said, to do what? To work. And we didn't know what we did. And they collected our international passport, took us to their office, to our shelter in Abuja. I said, how many days did you spend in the shelter? He said, 5 days. I said, what were you beaten? He said, no, that they were just talking to us. I said, they were counseling you. And what happened? They gave us some money to return to Ibadan. That they will get back to us. So that they said, they now concluded that since NAPTIP is in Ibadan, maybe their international passports must have been forwarded to NAPTIP in Ibadan. And I said, just thank your stars. Was it your dad that came to meet me last week? Because another man came to meet me in the office that, why is it you people in Abuja, my daughter was going to travel to Cairo, you people stopped her. What has she done? Has she committed an offense? But I knew, even though you understand, I said, just be grateful because your daughter was going into slavery. For those that have been trafficked there, if you ask them, when they get there, because they don't know that in all these Gulf nations, there's what you call the kafala migration labor system. In Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait, in Oman, in all you see, in all these Arab countries, you can never see any of their citizens do menial jobs. They don't have that strength. In fact, those that are not working, married couples, all these countries, they are well organized and they are rich. They pay married couples that are not working. They pay them, money to sustain them, and they don't do. So now, let me just finish with this: the kafala migration labor system. Please, this is what it is, because most people do not know this. It affords the citizens of all these Gulf nations, you understand, to sponsor people from Africa, from Asia, to come and work with them. You understand, as house help. You understand, and there's a clause in this kafala migration labor system. You can Google it after this program. You understand. The sponsor determines the entry,
okay,
the residency, the nature of work and the exit of that
the
person.
sponsor determines
The sponsor, so they
the
pay.
entry.
They have.
entry.
They
I want
have
us to say that again so that our listeners can. The sponsor determines the entry,
the nature of
the nature of the
work,
residency,
of the residency,
and the exit.
and the exit.
Now look at it this way: all this electronic visa, they usually give 2 years. The sponsor, let's say from maybe Kuwait or Oman, will be the one to put down money to an agent in his country, who will liaise with a so-called agent, a trafficker in Nigeria. The trafficker will scout for people maybe in Ibadan. Do you want to travel? By aeroplane or our plane. That one you know is a motivation for them.
You know that
I will go to Egypt, I will go to Oman, our aeroplane. You understand? You won't pay anything. It is when you start working, you start paying me back. They will never tell them that the sponsor there had already paid up front.
They still exploit them. Additional
So now,
exploitation.
2 years, I'm going to collect 18 months out of 24 months. Before
so because they want to get on the plane, they want to get out of
the
Nigeria.
desperation is there, they will not ask questions. And when they get there, the Arab man, and I keep telling people this, the Arabs don't like we Africans. I have studied, I've carried out the research. Even when we are having sports, if any black African country is playing, you understand, any country, all those, they don't see themselves as African. They see we blacks as nobody. So they will be telling them, I have a voice note here, although it's anonymous. The Arab man was shouting, I've paid you, you are my slave. Because the man was beating the woman. You have to work. And the woman was complaining that I've been working every day, I've been working from round the clock. You don't, you are my slave.
So you see,
I've paid you.
You see the trauma that our
and the one will say, give me my salary. What salary? So that's usually gets them infuriated. I've paid up front. You are my slave. You understand?
Just
and
like
they
you
don't
said,
have. They
Mr.
don't
Alfred,
have.
I know. I will still come back to you.
Okay.
I know you're very passionate about this. I mean, if we were on this for 2 hours, you have a lot. You keep talking.
It's okay.
And you know, I just want us to, I want to come to you, Mrs. Rita, to look at this. We talked about some of the reasons. I mean, he already mentioned some of the reasons why people fall victims. Or somebody who's not been on an airplane, and then, you say you're going to go on an airplane, hasn't traveled out of the country before.
Another factor is the money. I want the hard currencies they promise them. They usually pay them $300. And they say 300 times 1,500.
So they begin to calculate that.
They begin to calculate in Naira.
That's what I was saying. That they
That's
promise that you're
those are
going
the
to
motivations.
Let's now identify. So what people, is it lack of money?
that
Or
makes
is
them
it
go?
the internal architecture of displacement that makes them, that makes people feel like, oh, I've had it up to here, like they say. I can't take it anymore. I need to jackpot. Anyhow. Why? What really is the root cause? That, people hear these stories, but they still fall victims.
They still fall victims.
Say, let me just try. Let me try my own best. And people pray, really. They pray and they fast.
Some of them, their pastors even refer them
Exactly.
to travel agents.
Yeah, that's just
that's
it.
what we're
Many
looking at.
cases,
So
the
stakeholders,
pastors, you
community
understand.
leaders, they are also like the backbone of these people that traffic
So
them out of the
religious
country.
leaders,
Religious leaders, community leaders, traditional leaders, they really also need to be sensitized. And brought to book to see that, this thing that you're saying to them is not actually what it is. You think the field is greener there. But when you get there, just like you mentioned, some of them go through hell. There are several studies that I've also checked. I've read some children that come back to. They will say that they work at least 23 hours in a day. Who can? Who does that and will not break down? And when they are sick, they don't get help. They sleep on bare floor. They care less about them. Like he also said, it could be subjective, but from the experiences. How can you let a person's child, even if the person is not human, even your animal does not sleep on the bare floor? A child, a young person that is less than 18, sleeps on the floor.
Inhumane conditions that they're exposed to, torture, agony that they're exposed to.
And people still go. I think it's just desperation, like we said
Wow.
earlier.
Can I just say something briefly?
We'll take a break now.
Okay.
When we return,
All right.
let's take a break now. Wow. Wow.
Matters for Nation Building with your host Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe on World Radio 89.3 FM. This conversation shapes lives. Welcome back to Character Matters for Nation Building.
Yeah, to the group. Yes. It's really a lot.
Yes, it is.
Wow, you're welcome back. You're welcome back. This is, wow, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And we're looking at the issue of trafficking in persons, illegal migration. We're looking at the burden that it poses on people. We're looking at the act. We're looking at the means. We're looking at the purpose. Let me ask you, Mr. Alfred, have there been some of these criminals, like you call them, who have been arrested and prosecuted? Are there someone? Because sometimes when you begin to look at there, some of these people, criminals who've been arrested and prosecuted, so that they can serve as deterrent, to say, okay, these are the kind of people, and are they paraded? Is there a way that you let people know? Because a second is sometimes when you talk about these things, they're just talking. And then also, I know I've been at meetings where we've had returnees, some of these victims, survivors, let me say, who have come back to share, gory experiences. So we want to look at the two sides. So whichever one you want to take first.
I believe you're talking about the punishment being...
Yes.
You see, NAPTIP as the focal law enforcement agency in Nigeria to address the scourge of human trafficking, having been established, one of our core function is the investigation and prosecution of offenders, the human traffickers. I can tell you authoritatively because I'm a seasoned investigator, you understand? And in Sokoto, I talked about NAPTIP in Sokoto Zonal Command, comprising Kebbi, Sokoto and Zamfara State. And I also talked about Enugu Zonal Command, comprising the entire 5 southeastern states. I personally have investigated cases that afforded me that privilege of, because when you investigate case, when it's time for prosecution, when the lawyers file the case in court, you, the investigator, you are the PW1, prosecution witness. The victim, the survivor. PW2. Any other person that to come to testify, PW3, you understand? I can't count the number of cases that I personally investigated. I can't count the number of cases I superintended over as head of operations for many years before I became state commander, NAPTIP, or your state. That those offenders will be put to jail. So many cases bordering on sexual exploitation, even the removal of organ. You will not believe it. Organ harvesting is real.
Yeah, it is.
Forced labor is real. You understand? Buying or selling of children, babies, real. All these cryptic pregnancy things, we have successfully prosecuted. And if you think what I'm saying is not true, go to www.naptip.gov.ng. They usually publish it in the news.
Are there.
That's our official website. Like our page, NAPTIP Nigeria on Facebook, you see all our activities there. Even last week, we had 3 convictions from different states.
What more may we do to prevent
reoccurrences?
Our people becoming victims? What more may we do?
We are talking about the way out here. All right, things to do. Number 1, you see, as a preventive strategy, in NAPTIP we have what we call the Public Enlightenment Department.
Okay.
We have what we call the 5 P's strategy.
Okay.
The first one is policy.
We have the policies.
NAPTIP develops and implements policies to address human trafficking matters in Nigeria, such as the national policy for the protection and assistance to trafficked persons in Nigeria.
The policies are in place.
So that the protocol for identification, safe return and rehabilitation of trafficked persons. Guidelines on national referral mechanism for trafficked persons in Nigeria. There are so many that NAPTIP use and is in line with international best practice. Let me tell you, Nigeria is the first country, is the only country in the highest tier. That's what we call the United States The United States every year categorize all countries all over the world into tier 1, tier 2, tier 3.
Okay.
There are some that don't even have tier. And it's based on countries, how you've been able to conform to addressing human trafficking, based on the number of victims rescued, based on the number of traffickers prosecuted, based on the number of activities. You understand? And Nigeria is still at number 1.
At number 1. Wow.
That's great.
Just tier 2.
Really
working. So there's
now,
a lot being
last
done.
year, South Africa's rating dropped to tier 3. You understand? I can tell you authoritatively, check our website, you see it. Gambia, Ghana, they have come to Nigeria, to our agency in Abuja,
because
to
of our
beg
time.
our DG, we want to understudy how you people are doing it. Just some months late last year, Sierra Leone, the ambassador, Sierra Leone ambassador to Nigeria with some top government officials came to our headquarters to approach.
So you mentioned too the policy.
Yes,
the protocol.
The policy.
I want
you understand?
So
the second one is protection.
Protection.
We are talking about victim protection. We were talking about identification, rescue, reception, sheltering, counseling, rehabilitation, empowerment, family tracing, reunion, follow up. You understand? That's protection of victims. The third one is investigation, which entails investigating cases of human trafficking. And these include, you understand, but not limited to arrest of human traffickers.
You mentioned 5 Ps.
No, this is the third one. I've mentioned policy. I've mentioned protection.
Yes.
Victim protection.
Yes.
The third one is what I call prosecution, which entails investigation of cases and prosecution of cases. And when I say investigation, it entails the arrest of human traffickers. Detention of human traffickers. You understand? The sealing of premises, confiscation of premises or whatever properties deemed to have been used for the commission of human trafficking. You understand? We have what's called the victim of trafficking trust fund. All these traffickers, I'm an investigator. We do what we call parallel investigation, financial investigation. We trace all the properties that you have used, even the money laundered, your bank account, the houses you built. We sell everything, put the money in the victim trust fund to empower them. See, I'm telling you this. We have some of my colleagues that they were once victims of human trafficking. As part of empowerment, NAPTIP trained them. They will say they want to, graduates. Upon graduation, it's automatic employment. I know some of them haven't been adequately rehabilitated. So I've spoken about policy. I've talked about protection. The third one is prosecution. So when we finish our investigation, you understand, our legal and prosecution department, you understand, our colleagues that are lawyers, in the course of investigation, they guide us, we work together. The next thing, sometimes the guide, based on the legal distance, you understand? So they charge the case to court, and you understand? And I stand to say this, that all human trafficking offenses attract a minimum of 5 years. I have seen somebody in Sokoto that was jailed 30 years. You understand? Last night I was very angry. I was just going through Facebook. I saw a 14-year-old boy that they said the boss, he was an apprentice. The boss was sodomizing him 14 years. And rather than come to NAPTIP or even, let's say, go to police, you understand? Because it contravenes Section 15 and 16 of the Trafficking in Persons Prohibition Enforcement Act. You understand? That's the NAPTIP Act. That's what we use for prosecution. That act, it's all the functions of NAPTIP are there. All the various human trafficking offenses are there. And the punishments are there. The mandate of NAPTIP is there. It falls within our jurisdiction. We can prosecute it. Rather, they will go to broadcasting and they will say, Benusi Mike. It gets me so annoyed. Human trafficking cases, people, rather than they will go to a particular radio station to go and arouse a sympathy. Rather go,
so there's a right path, there's a right channel for reporting.
Even some NGOs, I'm so disappointed the way they do it in Oyo State, unlike some states that have worked. NGOs, we see human trafficking. NGOs cannot prosecute cases of human trafficking. But they will be addressing it. They will be taking the aspect of victim protection.
So let's help our listeners right now. This is
let me just complete the 5 Ps so that people will know.
No, before we finish that, now somebody has heard about this, is listening, or becomes aware. We are still talking about the way out. Yes, the way out. Is there a number?
I have like 6 or 7 ways out.
Is there a helpline that they can call? But I know that also I can give out this number right now so that if you know of any person, you are aware of some group of people who are trying to recruit persons, forcefully, through deception, you can call this number 0805 635 4859. I take that again, 0805 635 4859. You will give us the remaining 2 P's, but I want to go over to our second guest. We want to begin to tie everything together. Mrs. Olajide Kayode, you're a member of the Reintegration Committee, and we're looking at the psychology of return, the identity reconstruction, and hope. Is there hope for anyone who is trapped? Maybe family members are listening, or friends, the neighbors, they're listening, and they've been wondering what kind of help. So you're looking at the returnees narrative, that when a person returns from, failed migration journey, and they often return with a heavy character debt, a lot of trauma they've been through, shame, and a sense of failure that they've been through. So how do we help them reconstruct their identity? How do we help them? That reintegration, what exactly does it entail?
Okay, thank you very much for that beautiful question. Let me start with the fact that Oyo State Reintegration Committee was constituted last year.
Okay.
Last year, July. That was when we're given birth to by the NCFRMI. That's the National Commission for Refugee, Migrant, and Internally Displaced Persons. And they also work directly with the International Organization for Migration. And it's just to make things easy.
Okay.
This Oyo RC committee consists of different NGOs that provide support services to individuals. And these NGOs also have their area of strength, and that's why we have put everyone together. Okay. And I must also mention that NAPTIB is also a strong member. Is our vice chairman.
Yeah.
Yes, is our
co-chair.
Yes,
okay.
is the.
You will talk about
is
that
the
when
co-chair.
Okay.
So he's the co-chair, and they're also doing very well. So we're all working together.
Okay, so
this is how we do it.
Yes.
If we have any member outside there, or if you have family members in any of these Eastern, Western countries,
someone somewhere
that have become irregular migrants, whether they were trafficked there or policies change in those countries where they are, and they are finding it difficult to live or running helter-skelter to survive, you can come back home. So there are different classes of migrants. We have the first ones, and we have those ones who willingly said, okay, I can't take this anymore. I'm coming home.
Oh yeah.
So we receive everyone.
Okay.
So you please locate the IOM in whichever country where you are. And we'll provide the details. I don't have their number now, but once you just reach out to us, we forward the message, the information to IOM. And through the IOM, the NCFRMI also takes action and refers those people to us to receive them in Oyo State if they are from Oyo State background.
Asking IOM,
International Organization for Migration. They are everywhere. They are everywhere around. That is all they do. They rescue people and take them back to their countries instead of languishing around and so they bring them back to their country, whether they're from Nigeria, Ghana, or anywhere. So they have their office in Lagos, the regional office, those that we are working with directly.
Okay.
So when they receive them in Lagos, they send them to different states where they come from, and then move over to the reintegration committee in those states to continue to support them, help them to settle.
So let's talk about the support. What kind of support do they receive?
Okay, so usually I can't say this is a specific support because somebody that has been abused, we offer various forms of support.
So it's on case by case.
It is on case by case, according to the individual specific needs.
Okay, so necessarily some kind of interview will be conducted.
Definitely.
With the returnee.
To
find out
what they need.
What the experiences were, the situation of things, and then they will be profiled appropriately.
Okay. And also ask them, do needs assessments with them to know, exactly you were trafficked. Definitely you need legal support. We'll refer immediately to NAPTIP to give legal support. If they need psychosocial support, we can refer to CASIA, because we all work together. It's not an individual work. No individual can do this alone. NAPTIP is doing very well, but we also need to support to also bring those people to them, and once in a while also support them to provide more support to these people.
Okay, so some persons, thank you so much. So some persons may require counseling, therapy,
admission, hospital admission.
Okay. So that's
shelter.
Shelter.
And so food.
Okay. So may I say also Pan-African Purpose-Driven Women Initiative, the NGO that we operate, we have a safe house. We know also that we have people who may be referred, so that people understand that there is help. So now a person has realized their error, they've realized the mistake, and you don't want to stay stuck in that error. That position over there where you feel that, I'm just going to die here. No, help is available. So if you have any family member who may require such kind of help, so they can reach out, and then they will be profiled. And then we're saying also that you want to say something.
Yes, I was just going to say that it's not just for those who are still there or who want to come. Yes, if you are still there, you need support to come back home. IOM will support you to come back home. And give you to the state committee that is responsible for reintegration. However, for those who have returned, and cannot find their way.
I want us to quickly maybe take a break. I'm sorry. We call the number. I see some calls are coming, but let me call the studio line right away in case we have anyone who wants to call in. 0916 893 1000. 0916 893 1000. Let me call that out. Then 0915 333, that's 3334 893. 0911 3333 893. If you need to put a call through before we wrap up the show, you have an opportunity to call the studio line directly. Maybe you want to ask questions from the NAPTIP, the commander here, the NAPTIP or your state command. You want to ask him a question, or you want to ask a question from the member of the reintegration committee. You have opportunity to do that right away. So I'll come back to you right now, Mr. Alfred, we quickly tie it together. And in case you want to also add NAPTIP, there's NAPTIP. I know NAPTIP, of course, being co-chair, on the reintegration committee. We will look into that. But let's talk about the remaining two P's, and then in 2 minutes.
Please, before he takes that, because it's like we're focusing on adults. We also provide support services to children.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, so we have member organizations who look after the needs of children, welfare,
yes, because
social.
He talked about ASOHON is the Association of Operators.
Yes,
so when children are involved, all of these also, we need to let people know that your state government is very much involved. You have the Ministry of Human Affairs and Social Inclusion. You have the Rapid Response Team, Child Protection Network.
Yes.
So you have all of these organizations that are working together, just like Mrs. Onisha Ito has said, that it's not just one organization that is involved in it. So you have a network of organizations, looking into the different aspects as this is concerned. So over to you, Mr. Alfred, 2 minutes.
All right. Okay, now I've spoken about 3 P's.
Yes.
Policy.
You've talked about the protection. You've talked about
prosecution.
Yes.
Now the fourth one is what we call prevention.
Prevention.
And this entails
prevention.
Public enlightenment.
Which is what we are doing here.
So it's a core department. We have what we call the Public Enlightenment Department in NAPTIP. They go to the streets. You see them at motor parks, at schools.
Okay.
You see them.
So there's a lot of
in the
sensitization, enlightenment going on.
Just to create awareness.
Let people know. Dialects,
in local anywhere,
yes.
religious, in churches.
Okay.
You understand?
All right. So let's
Just
quickly go on.
Now
to
the last one is
final
partnership.
Partnership.
Yeah, you see, even as the focal agency to address human trafficking matters in Nigeria, we cannot do it alone.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So we need
Absolutely.
effective collaboration and partnership with sister law enforcement agencies, the police, civil defense, DSS, you understand? Intelligence sharing, you understand? Joint operations. We do we go together to arrest, you understand? So that collaboration is there with ministries, departments and agencies, the relevant ones,
just like
you
you
understand?
have the SDG 17 says partnership
Exactly.
So
With community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, civil society organizations, NGOs, both local and international, even with individuals. So just to form that synergy, to ensure that human trafficking is nipped in the bud to the barest
yes.
I tell people that
we've been talking a lot about international
now,
trafficking.
let me say this.
So there
are two types of human trafficking. We have the internal and we have the external.
So that people are not just thinking, okay, trafficking in person.
And let me also say this. Human trafficking is not just about women and children. Even though women and children are most affected. Even men. Men could be trafficked for the purpose of their organs removed.
Okay.
That's the illicit removal of organ, tissue and cell and sold. Men could also be trafficked for forced labor. There are so many men out there that they deceive them, they go and work somewhere. Okay, last year, about 10 Nigerians were deceived that they'll be taken to China, only for the Chinese man to take them to Congo.
Wow.
And abandon them. Yes, it's in the news.
Okay.
And abandon them in a sugar plantation.
Okay, so thank you so much.
Modern day slavery.
I mean, this is a lot.
I wish we could continue.
No, we will. You
Can
will
we have
come back.
1 hour more?
We will. I
So
know
I think we
this
just
is a
spent 10
lot.
minutes.
I mean, there's so much to really talk about, but we really have to wrap up the show right about now. It's been insightful, I must say, instructive. I believe that our listeners have learned several. They've gained a lot of insight. I want to say a very big thank you to you again, Mrs. Rita Onishe Olajide Kayode, CEO, Kasia Consult and member of your State Reintegration Committee. And thank you so much, Mr. Kayode Alfred, the State Commander, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTI, the Oyo State Command. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This is Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe, the lead counselor from Nurture Nest. Should you need counseling, feel free to reach out. There is help. There is hope. You do not have to die in that state where you are. Some become suicidal because they feel that where are they going to start? How do they start all over again? There is hope for you. Feel free to reach out. And we're saying to everyone, please, as I always say, let's be upstanders. Don't just be bystanders. You see something, say something and do something about it. Thank you so much for being part of the show today. Thank you so much, Mr. Henry, our studio manager. A very big thank you to the CEO, Evangelist Bade Mosi. And from all of us in the studios, it's bye for now. We'll see you next week by the grace of God. Thank you.